Aloha, everyone. I am your host, Gabe, from the Search for Tiki, and it is almost the last night of 13 Nights of Tiki Frights Season 3. Thank you all for joining us and watching along tonight. It is the night before Halloween, our favorite holiday of the year. We got our Plantation Rum. 13 Nights of Tiki Frights is sponsored by Plantation Rum, and it is the last night to enter our Enchanted Carving Contest for a chance at winning some books by Sven Kirsten, who is the author of the Book of Tiki. He was on our show earlier this week. Tonight, we're super excited to talk to Riki Tat Tiki, Christine from Riki Tat Tiki. She just moved down the West Coast. She's been killing it with the mugs, and so we're going to bring her in just a second. You're alive. You made it down the coast.
I did. It was a long drive. Thanks for having me, Gabe.
Thanks for joining. I'm stoked to talk to you. In a strange turn of events, I think the last time I saw you, we were waiting in line for some Tiki Raw mugs at the very break of dawn, and here we are doing an interview online just before Tiki Rob does another.
I know. It's just like the stars align. It's like the same situation, just virtually.
Weird. Are you nervous?
For the Tiki Rob drop, or
yeah, for the mugs.
I'm gonna try my best. I know. Last year we participated in his Halloween drop too, and it was like a frenzy. Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
It's a mad dash.
Good luck to everybody trying tonight.
I lucked out really well on that Halloween sale, and I probably shouldn't say this, right? But a lot of people, I think, on that sale didn't realize that there were multiple pages. So, like, everybody went for page 1, and like, if you started at page 3, you basically got everything you wanted. Yeah, because nobody realized that there were multiple pages.
That's a great tip.
Yeah, there you go. So check out the other pages and go for maybe not the super desirable ones. Because those will go out first. And don't tell us which one you're going after, because then your chances are lower, right?
I was wondering if you're going to ask.
Yeah, no. Well, I will ask, and then you just tell me what the one you want the least is, and then send people in the wrong direction.
Sounds good.
I got one of my Tiki Rob mugs here. I'm drinking out of tonight.
Yeah, my whole entire Tiki collection is in a U-Haul storage right now.
Oh no!
Oh yeah.
So when did you actually land? You moved from the Pacific Northwest to San Diego, is that right?
Yep, I actually just got to San Diego this Friday, like literally like 2 days ago. Like my partner Val and I, we went to San Diego a couple times now. We have some friends down here, and we went to Tiki Oasis recently and just absolutely fell in love with it. So those who are in the Pacific Northwest knows how hard the winters are. So we kind of like hauled ass. Like we're like, oh my God, October's coming. Like
we gotta get out. We gotta get out.
Yeah. I was like, oh no, it's coming. Like hurry, run. So we just packed up everything and we just moved down. Yeah.
That's exciting. That takes nerve.
Yeah, I think it's a good choice right now. Hopefully those in San Diego can tell me and kind of like reaffirm our choices.
And then you landed, and the first thing you did was like, I gotta go to Trader Sam's. They're releasing a gargoyle.
Oh yeah, dude. Like we started driving Monday morning, and it just like we had 2 pups with us, so we kind of stopped along the way, stayed at hotels and stuff. And it just so happened, like I can't believe it worked out, because it never works out for me like this. It was just like we were in Anaheim on Friday, and just like, oh my God, they're dropping not only a gargoyle but a teal gargoyle, and teal's my favorite color. And I freaked out.
I don't know. You're on a hot streak. You're getting lucky too much.
getting lucky too much. Yeah. Hopefully I can win that like $1 billion Powerball lottery right
You
now.
might want to do it while you're feeling lucky. Get it.
I'll just take my teal gargoyle to like the gas station and be like, can you please put like the Powerball ticket in my tiki mug? Yeah, exactly.
Well, hold off, see how you do on the Tiki Rob, sale, and then determine your luck from there.
That's true.
So did you move to San Diego just because of the Tiki? Falling in love with immersive bars and stuff? Or like what brought you to San Diego other than the weather?
There's definitely really great immersive bars here, like False Idol, and then a new one just opened. That's like sci-fi called Mothership.
And of course, tell me about it.
oh yeah. Yeah, everybody and their mothers are going. But aside from that, though, honestly, it's like the weather, and there's something about the people of San Diego that's like really chill. Like people go surfing in the morning and then go work their 9-to-5 job. I'm like, that's really cool.
Are you gonna take up surfing, or do you already surf?
No, I'm gonna try. It's definitely gonna be a better experience surfing in like the freezing temperatures and the Puget Sound up in Seattle. So I think it'll definitely be a better experience.
I love it. And so I haven't been to Mothership. I've only heard rumors that it's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree?
Yes. They like the theming. I'm kind of like I love sci-fi, so of course the decoration is totally my jam. It's really funny, like they use like old router components as part of the decoration, like on the walls. So if you look closely, it's like, oh, that's a Cisco router just painted. and it works so well. Like it's so immersive, and the drinks are pretty top notch. Like I've had a couple there so far, and it's definitely one to visit. So I mean, if you go to, I know you missed San Diego this year, but next year if you come over,
I'll have to go to Mothership.
Yeah, I'll grab a reservation for us.
Heck yeah. I got this pulled up here. This is a mug that you've been working on. Speaking of space.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me about this one. How did this one come about?
Oh, so that one came about because literally my first like tiki drink, or my first tropical drink, was the drink a Saturn. Like I think I made it from some guy's Reddit post, and like he's a guy that would post a recipe paired with like a Spotify playlist that's like super sci-fi. Like it was like kind of grungy too. It was amazing. So I listened to it and I tasted the drink. It's an amazing drink, really easy to make too. And I felt how tropical drinks to me before that was it's very fruity, or very sweet. Like I've had really bad tropical drinks, probably from like cruise ships and stuff.
No.
Yeah.
Bad tropical drinks.
So I tried the Saturn recipe, and it was so balanced. Like all the sour components, all like the sweetness, the spirit, completely balanced, and it kind of opened a new world for me. I was like, oh my god, tiki drinks can be really balanced, and it kind of like spiraled from there.
Was this before or after you saw the Great Pottery Throwdown?
Oh, good question. It is before. Like there's like multiple components of my life that kind of like sparked at the same time, but then parallel to each other. Like the drink
almost
portion.
Like the planets aligned.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah. It definitely that, and is a combination of all those components. That's not like I never would have thought, and it just like it just aligned perfectly.
Are you like, is your goal to someday in life make Keith cry?
Make Keith cry? Oh, okay.
From the Great Pottery Throwdown.
I it's funny. If I'm crying, I'm gonna start crying, and I don't cry that often. So I don't think I'm gonna be a hot mess, and it'll be amazing. And yes, I would most definitely like to make cry.
Make Keith cry. That's the
Yeah.
end goal. That's why you secretly got into ceramics, just so you could join the Great Pottery Throwdown.
Yeah, for those who don't know it, it's like I think the same producers as the Great British Bake Off. So it's that form, but they applied it to pottery. It's amazing. Like it's a great way to kind of understand all the steps that go into pottery making, and it's just everybody's super friendly to each other, which is very similar to the tiki community. It's just being friendly and supporting each other, and yeah, it's a great watch if you haven't gotten into it.
It is kind of refreshing. A lot of those reality shows are like, cutthroat. The nails are out. Everybody's going after each other. And then you watch the Great Pottery Throwdown and like someone gets voted off and they all go over and give them a big hug.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I don't want to see you go.
Yeah, it's pretty similar to if like a mug artist has a really bad firing and like all their mugs like have cracks or whatever, like the glazes doesn't work. Like big studios, like he just recently had that like horrible nightmare happen to his Glamber ghouls, and I just like wanted to go over there.
Shivering.
Yeah, just like I just want to hug you. Like that's my worst nightmare, and I feel you right now. And yeah, it's like the same like supportive nature as tiki.
Ceramics can be unforgiving. Have you had any major meltdowns yet in the kiln, or have you been mostly unscathed?
There's a couple mugs here and there. I have an oopsie bucket.
An oopsie bucket.
Mm-hmm.
Is this like Wicco's pile out back where they throw all the bum tikis? You have like just a bucket of cool mugs that people would probably pay for that you don't want out there?
Oh, definitely not pay for again because I destroy it. Like it's like a 5-gallon bucket, and any of the mugs that come out, like the glazes don't come out right, or like there's really bad pitting issues like inside the mug, I just take it. I think I actually have a video of it on my Instagram page, but I just take it. I'm like, oh, this one came out really bad. I'm so sad. And I just like dunk it into the 5-gallon bucket.
And then you feel a little bit better?
Yeah. At first I told my partner Val, like, can you please like break my mugs for me? Because I just feel so sad when I break them. But now I'm just like, oh yeah, quality control, baby.
I've seen this before. I've survived and I'll survive again.
Yeah, exactly. I guess it's kind of like a stress relief.
Where did you so first of all, you watched the Great Pottery Throwdown. Mm-hmm. You got into, I mean, you've had a history of just enjoying art and doing different things, and then you got into ceramics. Why did you choose to go with slip casting versus pottery wheel, or did you try a pottery wheel first?
I definitely did slip casting first.
Okay.
I did do a pottery class, and I'm so bad at it. Like, oh my god. It's kind of funny. I went to the class with Val, and apparently she's like at throwing. Like her bowl, like she just threw a bowl, like 2 different bowls of made shapes, and mine is just decrepit looking and very sad. And I was like so embarrassed that I threw this, and the instructor says like for the class you can fire like 1 piece that you threw. So like I looked at mine and wow, like she threw 2 so good. I was like, let me just size my piece and just take my slot and fire hers like both, please.
You didn't want to see all your errors and mistakes fired into something like significantly more permanent?
Oh no, it kind of reminds me of like that scene in Aliens where like Ripley sees her clone self, And it's like, it's like, it's like, please kill me. It's kind of like that. I was like, okay, I gotta end your misery, and I just,
Oh
yeah,
no.
Val, just take my flat.
As if these ceramics just have like their own living essence, and you're just like literally ending the life of some poor ceramic bowl that you just threw on a pottery wheel. That's
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
savage. So when
Yeah, but,
you get into slip cast ceramics, how do you learn nowadays?
how did I learn? Oh, that's a good question. I definitely learned through the internet. Oh, I mentioned before, like on my earlier posts, I always thank how I got started. I watched Tiki videos, and everybody's familiar with Tiki Technical
Tiki
Tuesdays.
Technical Tuesday, yeah.
Oh yeah, he's basically the Bob Ross of like mug making. Like it's so fun to watch, so calming, and like he puts so much effort in creating amazing educational content that I just like swallowed every single episode that he put out. And then not only that, Biggs, Mike Biggs, he also did like some how to videos on Instagram that I watched, and I was like, oh, it's like I you can learn through that. Like you just have to pay attention to like what they do and the steps, and be like really careful in kind of like replicating that, and also being able to make your own artwork using those methodologies.
Do you want to kind of go through the process real quick? I got some photos we could show for
Oh
those that are
yeah,
kind of like interested in getting into ceramics.
of course.
This isn't necessarily related to a mug per se, but I believe you get started with
Oh
drawing,
hey,
right?
oh yeah, dude,
And this
what?
is I love this drawing,
This is like the first thing that I posted on Instagram.
but it's so good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you got in full color here as well.
Yeah, this was actually my first attempt at using watercolor. So I had a lot of fun playing with watercolor, and art. I've tried art in all different mediums. Like I did graphite art, watercolor, oil painting, and then I also painted miniatures. And then I finally happened upon ceramics, and it's just like, oh, this is the medium that I've been searching for, and it just everything clicked with me. I love three-dimensional shapes. I love being able to form them and also being able to glaze them. So yeah, ceramics was definitely something that just instantly clicked with me after trying every single thing, kind of like Goldilocks, like this is too warm, this is too hot,
Yep.
and oh, this is just perfect.
This is just right.
Yeah.
I think you correct me if I'm wrong. I know that you've now kind of like started sculpting. You've shown some stuff on Instagram, but initially it was 3D art for your mugs. We got this one, which is one of the renderings of Till Death Don't Us Part, which is one of our favorite mugs, and today's giveaway. Did you have experience with 3D software?
I did a little bit of it, like for my job, but that's just like making like boring mechanical parts. This was the first time that I did like an organic sculpt, and crazy enough, like I did this by finding an app on the Apple Store. Like you can sculpt this on your iPad. Like if you have an iPad, you can download this app. It's called Nomad Sculpt. It's amazing, and it was the first time that I used it, and I sculpted that mug using it, and it was just really fun. And of course, if you're not familiar with it, as I was, I just YouTube tutorials and learned from there.
So when you're doing your sculpting, are you mostly building up or like cutting away?
Ooh, that's a great question. So traditionally, when you sculpt with actually, you can do it both ways. Never mind. For that particular mug, the Till Death Don't Us Part, the two skeleton couple mug, that one I kind of built up in 3D. Like I made sure to have the shape of my of my drinking vessel, and then I used like really rudimentary shapes like spears and rods to kind of lay out the composition of the skeletons hugging. Like I want to make sure that it looks good, like composition wise. And then I went in and sculpted the details, like the teeth, the eye sockets, the rib cages, and I made sure to always think about how my mold will go, like where the mold lines are. So it's just like that's the key there. That's the key to solving the problem of of being able to slip cast something, is understanding your undercuts and like where the mold lines are. And this is something that you have to always keep in mind in both 3D sculpting on an iPad or computer and sculpting in real life with like monster clay or normal ceramic clay.
I think undercuts are perhaps one of the most difficult things for people who aren't in ceramics to understand. Just because it's such kind of like a weird foreign thing to just everyday life. It's not how we usually think about things. But I believe the general idea is, so you're going to make pieces, right? And each piece has to pull away cleanly. How did you kind of wrap your head around how you were going to make a mold?
Oh. How do I wrap my mind around making a mold? Well, actually, I'm like looking at it right now. So I have my wolf head mug right here, my severed wolf head. And when I sculpted this for the first time, I was like staring at it, and I was like thinking about it for like a month or two. And I was like, hey, I think I can make a mold of this. And so think of this as like monster clay, like what you sculpt with. And I took a permanent marker and I just kind of drew mold lines on it. And once you draw mold lines, just take a look at it and see if you can like if this is your face that you're pulling the mold from. Just see if there's anything that kind of like goes behind a feature. And if that happens, then that feature is going to be pulled out when you pull the mug from it. So that's kind of like how I think about it. It's a lot of thinking and a lot of being kind of aware of features and where they lie three-dimensionally. And I guess it's just once you draw the mold lines, you can always kind of like erase them and redraw them and think about it. And I guess that's how I tackle it.
Yep. I think I have a picture. You were talking about the mold lines. Plus, you got a cute little dog in here.
Yeah. They're touching nose to nose. Very cute.
So this would be your. Did the severed wolf head, was that 3D or was that monster clay?
That was monster clay.
That was monster clay. Okay.
Yep.
So you've drawn. So how many pieces was this mold of the severed wolf head?
It was 6 pieces. It was a doozy, and this is actually a great picture. Like at the top of the ears, you can see if the mold goes behind the ear, then when you pull that mold piece out, you're literally gonna destroy the ear in order to pull it out. So that's just something to be cognizant of. And yeah, it was a 6-piece mold. And this is actually another a fun tidbit of mold making, is that this is a puzzle for you to solve. And I actually solved it with my partner Val. Like we both kind of looked at it and we were like literally sketching out like what molds that we're gonna make from what direction from the mug. And we were like debating back and forth. And then you also have to think about the sequence of like demolding it, because it's kind of like a puzzle piece. It's really cool. It's like really neat. You're like solving a puzzle box from, I don't know, Hellraiser or something.
One of the benefits, I would say, we were talking a little bit about this with Thor before. If you are a new mug maker, it could be interesting using 3D stuff, from the simple fact of, in the mold making process, if you messed up and you destroyed your sculpt, then you can start again. Whereas if you were using monster clay from the beginning, maybe not so much. This is a shot that you took of your Till Death Do Us Part. I believe that's filament from the 3D printer.
Yes. This was printed in resin, and those like little weird trusses underneath it is kind of like they're like supporting structure for your print. Because if you don't have that, then like some really like extruded features will sag or won't print correctly. 3D printing comes with like its own technical like problems that you have to troubleshoot, just like real clay does. Like 3D printing, you have to be really careful of like printing really nice surfaces, and there's a lot of things that can go wrong when you're 3D printing it.
The supports, I don't know what they're called. The supports on the bottom, is that something that the program kind of designs for you, or that's like a separate thing of research?
Oh, that one, the program automatically like finds the right supporting points, but you can control like the density of the clusters and like how and like how much they're concentrated and how far apart. So that's actually something that's definitely like a toggle in making your 3D print have a really good surface. So that's like, yeah, that's a problem that you have to solve.
Are there cons to making those structures like too dense?
Not too dense.
Like,
probably like.
Can you use too many? Like, does it make cleaning it up more difficult or something?
Yeah, it does. Because when you break those supports, there's like little nubbins that come out.
Okay.
And you just have to like sand those nubbins down and like make sure that it's like a really smooth surface. Because whatever you don't clean up, once you make a mold of it, you're literally it's gonna show up in every single mug that you make, and it's just, you have to clean that up. If you release 150 mugs, then you have to clean that up 150 times, and it gets really tedious.
So do it correctly the first time, otherwise you're kind of messed up.
Oh yeah. It's like you're stuck in Groundhog Day. Like you got to repeat the same thing over and over again.
Is that something you kind of figured out through trial and error? Do you have anything on your mugs that you have to carve in after the fact?
I would say the Till Death mugs. I don't know, like I left a little badonkadonk like at the bottom of it. Yeah, it's
badonkadonk.
Yeah, it's just like a little bump, and I can't believe like I didn't like sand it down. And just every single mug that I make, I have to demold it and like take a little scraper and just scrape off the badonkadonk from it, and just like make sure to smooth it off. Yeah, and it was just like something that I've done 150 times.
Lesson learned.
Lessons learned. Yeah.
We got this one, so I believe this is the mold making process of the plaster mold.
Yes.
Would be correct in that. So you've already made one of the pieces, it looks like here, and then you're kind of working on the rest. Is that how it works?
Yes. You can see that's the first mold made on the right, and then you just have to go in and you have to, let's say the section that we're looking at with the rib cage and the hand behind the head, that's like the section that you want to pour your plaster mold at. But everything else, you have to pack in a bunch of clay. You have to pack in a clay dam, like a wall, in order to capture the plaster that you pour into the section. And plaster pours in liquid, and then just like there's like a chemical reaction that makes it harden within the hour.
How do you keep the liquid from like spilling out? Are there any techniques that?
Yeah,
Is that a weird question?
No, that's a funny question because like I think the first time that I did my plaster molding, I had my plaster disaster. Like just like Van Tiki said, when you have a plaster disaster, I had it for my first mold, and I was like almost in tears because I put in, I think that mold took me 9 hours to do because there's just so much tedious work into doing this mold, and it did leak. It did leak because any small opening that you leave out when you're making your mold box, plaster is like super fluid, so it just completely leaks out. And once you pour it and you just see it draining, like it's kind of similar to like the blood draining from your face, like, oh my god. Yeah, I honestly, I almost gave up there. Like I was so frustrated because I had my first plaster disaster, and the worst thing is that it spills out everywhere, so you have to clean up. So I did that cleanup, and I know like Val gave me words of encouragement, like let's just do it again, and then we'll just make sure to seal everything. And yeah, and then the second time was a success. So I guess for mug artists out there just starting out, if you have your plaster disaster, just take a breather. I don't know, like have a drink.
Do some
Just
laps around the house.
yeah, just calm down, and then yeah, just try it again, and just learn from your mistakes.
Can you, like, when you're pouring plaster, like pour a little bit in and then see if it leaks and then pour more in? Or is it such a like a time sensitive thing that you need to kind of like move
Yeah,
quickly?
it's super time sensitive. Like that's also kind of like the yeah, like the adrenaline rush, because you do have a certain amount of time that you can pour your plaster before it sets. Like it's almost like instantly. There's a little trick where you can, if you continue to mix it, uh, it doesn't set. But once you like stop mis- stop mixing it, that's when the chemical reactions start. So that then when you pour it, when you stop mixing and you start pouring it, it already like the clock is running out. I think it takes like I think you have like 5 minutes or 10 minutes to actually pour it in. So you have to do it fast.
Okay. Um, does it matter like what material you're using to build those walls, like the clay material?
Yeah, I you can just I just went to the like I just waltzed into the clay shop and was like, give me your cheapest clay because I'm gonna be using a shit ton of it. And so I literally got like the cheapest clay that they have. Build my wall up, and then I think the key thing is to use tons of mold soap. It's kind of like it's that releasing agent for because plaster sticks to plaster and also sticks with a bunch of other materials. So once you use mold soap, it kind of allows you to release that plaster mold.
Okay. I got this photo and I have I have no idea
Yeah.
what is happening in this one. So you've got this looks like the fresh plaster, maybe?
Yes, that is freshly poured plaster, and like I made a great wall of clay, and yeah, honestly, you just gotta wing it, and like we winged it by grabbing these like side planks and just shoving it in there because we're like, oh my god, the clay walls are gonna break.
They're gonna break.
Just shove supports in there.
Grab whatever you can.
Yeah. Grab the dog's bone. Yeah,
Just stuff it.
yeah.
I love
And
that.
honestly, it's you can have a lot of cool like fancy equipment. Makes your life super easier, but you can really be able to MacGyver a lot of things. Like anybody can start out making making molds. You just have to yeah MacGyver your way and use the tools that you have around in the
Kind of figure it
garage.
out with enough
Yeah,
patience and perseverance. You can do anything.
you can do anything if you believe in yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. This one I think is a little more finished.
Yes, that's like the best part. It's like the last pour, and you just don't have to worry too much about clay walls. Of course, you have to dig out. So I just like digged out the clay walls on the left and the right, the ones that make the triangle. So I dig
Yep.
that out, and that's like the most satisfying pour is your last one because you don't have to worry about making clay walls anymore. It's just like filling. It's like that oddly satisfying thing where you fill that last piece of the puzzle.
Does it get easier as you go? So like the first piece is the most difficult, and then
Yes, yes,
yeah.
it does get easier. Like the last piece is like sweet. It's pretty easy. It's like whew. It takes probably like a fraction of the time of the rest of the pieces.
So you were talking about MacGyvering different things, like you don't need all this fancy equipment,
Yeah.
even though you may want it, and you see it
Hmm.
on Tiki Technical Tuesday. It's not
Yeah.
necessary to ceramics. What
No.
do you think are the things that you do absolutely need in order to make your first flip cast mug?
Oh, I would say I would say if you're making your molds and stuff, or like starting out making pottery, I would like Google and try to find a local pottery or ceramic supply store. Like I think that's the best place to start, because one, you're supporting a local like ceramic shop, and then two, any questions that you have, I don't know, I've asked a ton of questions of my local supplies like ceramic store, and they were really happy to answer my questions. So I would start there, and then I think the most important tool, in my opinion, to purchase first as a ceramic artist is a kiln. Like honestly, like a kiln was super important for me, because one, it allows me to test my own glaze testing myself on my own time, and it also saves money on my on each firing. You can rent out kiln space from pottery stores, or even local artists that rent out the kiln space. But then you have to work on, I think, a bi-weekly schedule where they fire every 2 weeks. So you're really bottlenecked if you're reliant on like somebody else's kiln. So I would say the most important thing to buy into as a ceramics artist is a kiln. You can start with a small kiln and then start to size up.
Do you have like an ideal size for mugs
Oh,
in terms of kiln size?
I don't have an ideal size. Honestly, like I think both works, and like a large kiln, you can fire a ton of your mugs at once, because each firing is can go up to like each firing takes $8 of your electrical bill, or even more depending on your settings. They can go up to like $15 per firing. So I would say big kilns really save you the energy, so you can fire a ton of mugs at once. But small kilns are great for like if you want to test mugs. Like if you have one mug that you want to fire to see how they look like. I know Van Tiki has like this little teeny tiny kiln that he can like fit a couple of his AP mugs in, his artist proof mugs, and just like do a quick firing, doesn't cost that much, and like pull them out and be like, oh cool, yeah. I think both size kilns works for whatever you need it to.
Okay. All right. So ceramic process, you did your drawings, you sculpted it, you printed it, you made your plaster molds. We were talking to Motu Mikey at the beginning of 13 Tiki Frights. Follow Motu Mikey on Instagram. He, with his mug, his Warhammer Club, I forget what Warhammer Club mug. Anyways, he kind of like made mugs from the plaster mold, and then after he had made a bunch, he decided that he was going to go and make a master mold. Were you kind of in the same situation, or right from the beginning you were like, I'm going to make a master mold?
Oh yeah, right from the beginning I wanted to make a master mold, because it's from one feature of my mug that when you make a master mold, you basically make a silicone mold for you to duplicate your plaster molds with. And so it's basically like your save point for your plaster molds. Yeah. So using the top blue mold, I can make a bunch of my bottom plaster molds. So you basically save your plaster molds, so you don't have to go through all that clay wall building over and over again for you to make another set of plaster molds. There's only one feature on the Till Death Donuts mugs that I'm like, I looked at it, it's like, okay, we need to make a silicone mold right now. And I'm wondering, Gabe, if you know what that one feature is on it.
If I'm looking at this?
Yeah.
No, I'm on the spot here. My initial thought would be where the skulls meet, kind of in between there. Is that it?
It's the teeth first.
The teeth? Okay.
Yeah, the teeth, because plaster molds are really brittle, so there is a chance for the plaster mold to like break, and once that set of teeth breaks off, which they're very delicate, that mold is ruined. Like those teeth are so small and like delicate in detail that like I won't be able to go in and carve it in by hand. Like it, I've tried it. It's so small that it's nearly impossible to keep the quality. So that's why once I saw those teeth, I was like, oh baby, we gotta save this mold.
We gotta go all the way.
Yeah, we gotta go all the way.
I think that's this, right? So you built another kind of box,
Yeah.
and you put one of your plaster mold pieces in here, and then you pour silicone.
Yeah, it's liquid gold.
Liquid gold. People say it's expensive. Well, here's the thing. I've talked to a bunch of people through 13 Nights of Tiki Frights, and some people say, wow, this is so expensive. You don't need to do it. And then other people are like, it's honestly not that bad. Price-wise. Yeah. Where do you fall in the costometer?
I would say it's pretty expensive. Like the reason for it to be expensive is the activating agent in it is like platinum. I was like, what? Like, that's why it's so expensive. Dang. I think it's expensive, but there's something that you can do to keep the expense down. One, I know Bantiki does it. He recycles silicone because you can actually that bottom blue piece, the silicone mold, you can chop it up like you can chop it up and reuse it in another silicone mold because a cured piece of silicone mixed with a liquid silicone still fuses together the same way. So to keep the cost down, you could recycle it. But here's another tip too. Another tip is that the silicone mold, the walls of it, like the thickness, of course, the thicker the walls are to your silicone mold, the more volume of silicone you need, aka more cost. So you can honestly keep the walls of your silicone a 1/4 inch or even 1/2 inch in thickness, and all you need really is a very sturdy outside box to keep the silicone kind of like set in this dimension. But the silicone walls itself, you can keep it really, really thin. Like you don't need a thick wall. So that was a cost down tip that again we learned from asking people working at the ceramics shop. They're like, hey, like yes, this is something that you can do to cost down of your silicone molds.
So when we look at this one looks like there's quite a bit of space.
Oh yeah, dude, we used so much.
That was one of the learning curves of ceramics.
So much money. I can't believe it's gold. Yeah, Val and I look at it right now and we're like, oh my god, I can't believe we didn't need it to be that thick. Like THICC, it's so thick.
Is it super durable? So like if you do a thin wall and you like try to tear it, not that you would if you just spent that much money on it, but is it like really durable even with the thinner walls?
That's the thing. It's actually really flimsy. So that's why you need that sturdy outer frame. Like our frame that we put over the silicone mold is like Val made this amazing, like really sturdy frame. So the silicone itself is really flimsy if it's like a thin wall. So yeah, it's like super flimsy. But you need that like sturdy box to keep it together because plastic cures when it thermally cures, it expands because it gets hot and there's heat. So you need a sturdy wall to keep that mold kind of like in place. Like you stay there.
Okay. All right. So you get your master mold. How many plaster molds over time will kind of deteriorate? People have different amounts that they will use the plaster mold. How many mugs are you able to pull from one plaster mold?
That's a good question. Depends on like how much you want to clean up. Like once you make a pull and your plaster starts to deteriorate, you just have more cleanup work. I know once the teeth goes, I'm like, oh, yeah, throw that plaster mold out because I won't be able to clean up that mug. So yeah, the teeth was key. I would say one plaster mold. I don't know. You can use it indefinitely if you put in the time to post-process cleanup.
Just be super careful and pulling it apart.
Yeah, be careful.
So once you make the mold, right now you just have the outer shell of the mug, and you got to you pour slip inside of it,
Mm-hmm.
and then you wait for it to harden, and it kind of thickens over time as I believe the water's kind of pulled into the plaster. Is there a better way of describing that?
No, that's exactly how it works. Yeah, it leaves behind like the ceramic shell, like uh, this clay shell, and you pour out the liquid clay in it, and you leave behind this shell, and you demold it, kind of like a puzzle piece. And yeah, you get this slip cast mug.
So looking at this photo of the Till Death Donuts Part mug, you got some weird things going on top of it. That's, I would assume, where you poured it in.
Yeah, that's the pour sprout, like the funnel, and you just like cut that tip off, like cut the top off, and then you sand down like the lip of your mug, and you can throw up, you can throw out like the funnel, the extra clay, but I kind of like to reuse it. And there's like these things called the sprig molds that you can buy from ceramic stores, and sprig molds have like already predetermined tiles that you can press clay into or pour clay into. So I like to go to ceramic store, buy sprig molds, and use that excess clay to press into and make glazed test tiles. So that's something that, yeah, I like to do just to save clay.
Yep. How do you, are there any particular tools that you use? Because when you look at this, like, it's very level and smooth, and I would assume like cutting things off, like it would be like kind of sharp if you were to fire it.
Oh yeah, it was raggedy. Like my first couple of mugs were raggedy at the top, and as like a first time mug maker, like I looked at my mug, like the first one I ever made, and I looked at like my Tiki Rock mug. I was just like, huh, there's something different. Oh yeah, this rim is so raggedy compared to Tiki Rock. So like, what? And it's just something that you don't really think about, and there's a lot of like extra post processing work that you do that you kind of like don't really think about. And it wasn't until I became like a mug maker myself, like, oh wait, there's something different. Oh yeah, my lip is awful. So again, the tiki community is amazing. Like I reached out to Rob, and he kind of like told me that like you can sand it down to make that clean like drinking lip if you want to drink from it directly. And then another kind of like act of kindness is Danny from Tiki Diablo. He actually commented in like one of my early Instagram posts. He saw me sanding the mug on like sandpaper, and then he kind of like dropped me an awesome tip of like, hey, you can buy drywall sanding screens, and it's just something that you can reuse, like drywall screens that they use for sanding and just hose down after you sand it. So it's like a reusable sanding thing for your mugs. And it's just like, I think that's like one of my most favorite tips, because it really, yeah, it made my sanding experience much smoother, less abrasive.
Do you find now that like you've learned these things from ceramics that sometimes you look at other mugs and it kind of kills your vibe a little bit? Because like a mug that normally you may have been really excited about, you look at it and it's like, I would have done that different.
Yeah, I would say that sometimes I think that, but then if like the art, like the sculpt of it, like really rings true to me, I'm like, oh yeah, this is awesome. Like it definitely have a place on my shelf. Uh, I am more kind of like, I do check the bottoms, I do check the lips, and then it's just like, okay, it's just something that I'm more aware of now that I've made it. I was like, that extra bit of work that goes into it, I also consider in the price point of the mug too. It's just, it's fine if they don't do it, and I just expect a lower price point, because it's just more time and effort in getting that clean top and getting that even bottom that I appreciate. And I was like, I'm willing to pay extra money for like that extra level of quality that is put in.
Riki Tat Tiki has a no badonkadonk policy on all mugs.
Yeah, I still can't believe I just left that little like bump. Yeah, I've cleaned many of that.
We got this. I think this is a size comparison between, would this be the original 3D printed sculpt? And then on the right-hand side, you got the plaster.
On the right-hand side is the clay. It's the clay mug. Yes, the left-hand side is the 3D printed piece. The right-hand side is my first flip cast mug. And it's white because it's bone dry. It's just how that clay dries. And you can see that it shrunk a good bit. It shrinks 3 times. It shrinks when the clay goes from wet to bone dry. It shrinks again when you bisque fire it. And it shrinks a 3rd time when you final fire it, for like when you glaze fire it. So it shrinks a good bit, depending on the clay that you use though.
Do you have any idea so like for this mug, what you sized up from what you wanted the finished product to be?
Yeah, I did keep that into consideration because I wanted like a mug size where I can drink a lot of tiki drinks in. Like I think I've used it for Mai Tais. I've used it for like jet pilots. It's 16 ounces, so it fits like a good amount of like a wide range of tiki drinks in. And the type of clay that I chose, it's pretty funny. Again, I went to like my ceramics shop. I was like, what slip cast do you recommend? And then they showed me this one. They're like, it's a love child between stoneware and porcelain. And I was just like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about, but it sounds cool, so I'll buy it and try it out.
I haven't done, we're approaching an hour. We got to be careful of the Tiki Rob time. I haven't done any giveaways. So let's do a quick giveaway from the Black Lagoon room. This is a pin. It looks like Freddy Krueger from Pete Design and a swizzle stick. Thank you to the Black Lagoon room for sponsoring some of our giveaways. First person in the comments to get this correct will get to take home the pin and the swizzle stick. The question is, most ceramic tiki mugs, cocktail mugs, whatever you want to call them, are not made with a pottery wheel. They're made using the blank method of ceramics. Fill in the blank. What method of ceramics are most cocktail mugs made with? First person in the comments to get that correct will win some cool swag from the Black Lagoon room. I got this picture here. So what's going on with this? Why is there the stark different colors and contrast on these?
Yes. So this is actually when the clay turns into ceramics. So it vitrified. So when you flick a ceramic piece, you get that ting, right? So if you flick these 2 pieces, is after the first fire, so they will give you that crisp, like crystal ceramic ting. The difference between these 2, though, is that the right one, I dipped it in watered down underglaze. And the cool thing about ceramics that isn't really found in other forms of art is that ceramic is actually porous. So when I dip the mug in watered down underglaze, it's like watered down paint if you think of it, because the ceramic piece is porous, it like it sucks up all the underglaze and coats it black. So that was the black underglaze that I dipped in. And then after I dipped it, I took a wet sponge and I wiped it off to keep the shadows like black and then the highlights white.
What's the difference between underglaze and just regular glaze?
Underglaze. Oh, underglaze is, I think the base of it is like very similar to clay. So when you fire underglaze, it fires like clay, whereas glaze actually is more like glass-like after you fire it.
Okay. We did get the correct answer for the giveaway, the Black Lagoon room pin and swizzle stick. Remember, guys, I say this every night, but it's based on, just because it shows up on your end, it's based on your network connection. What shows up on my end, who gets it first? With that said, the answer was most cocktail mugs, not all, but most cocktail mugs are not made using a pottery wheel. They're made using the slip cast method of ceramics. And the first person to get it right was George. So George, send me an email, admin@searchfortiki with your mailing address. and we will ship you some pins.
Congrats, George.
Congrats. I got right here. So are these
Oh,
glaze
God.
tests? What do you say? Oh, God.
It's just like, this is like the first wake up call of like, oh, you think you can predict what glaze does? Guess what? You can't. Yeah, these are my artist proof mugs. I think artist proof is how would you describe artist proof?
How would I describe it? Artist
Yeah.
proofs, I would say oftentimes it's people kind of messing around with glaze, seeing what kind of different effects that they have to decide what they like. Because you may have an idea in your head and you're like, hey, it's going to be this glaze and this glaze and this glaze. And then when you actually put it in the kiln has an entirely different idea of what those three things are actually going to look like. And then I think artist proof over time has kind of evolved into a second meaning, which would be more valuable mug. And I think that's because, like, when artists sell their artist proofs, they usually do it at a markup because it's like a 1 of 1. It's a weird glaze. And the strange thing about it being is it's oftentimes like the artist's least favorite design, right? Because that's the one they didn't go with. And yet somehow that's the one that ends up being the most valuable. I don't know.
It's just like, it's probably like the 1 for 1 thing. Yeah, there's only one of them out there existing. But exactly right. When I made this Till Death Do Us Part mug, like I had a vision of it, of what it's gonna look like. So I tried out a whole bunch of different glaze combinations of it. This one in particular, I went with like a specialty glaze. Like it's not all underglaze, and it's just the specialty glaze that I chose. The artist proof of that came out the closest, like you said, closest to the vision that I have. And that's what I decided to use in the future. But the rest of the artist proof, most of them is like kind of like a wake up call for me as a new up and coming ceramics artist. Like, wow, glaze is a type of alchemy. It does not behave at all like traditional art, like traditional mediums do. Like when you take an oil brush and you paint it on the canvas, you instantly know what it looks like. Whereas glaze, there's so many factors that go into glaze that makes it vary every time you fire. And then application of thickness, how you fire it, how thick your mug is, what type of clay you use. So many flipping variables, and it's insane. And it was definitely a wake up call for me as a new artist, but it's also kind of like a fun challenge. Like, ooh, this is a whole new world that I can kind of like sink my teeth into and do a lot of like test glazes to figure out and better understand it.
Do you like kind of enjoy that process? Do you find it tedious?
I would say a little mixture of both. Can I say, can an answer be both?
Both? Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah.
It's fun until it isn't.
Yep.
Right? So like, when you figured out like what you want it to be, do you fire another mug the same way? Like, are you taking detailed notes on all of these artist proofs?
Yep.
Before you like load up a kiln?
Yeah. I take detailed notes of every step of my glazing process. Like for the wolf head, for example, I made like a bloody white version of the wolf head. And my first AP that I really liked of that white wolf, I was like, oh, this is amazing. Yeah, this one. I was like, okay, I'm on the right track, but there's some things that I want to tweak. And I just looked at my notes. I was like, okay, this glaze, I applied only 1 layer of this glaze. I want it thicker, so let's up that to like 3 layers of glaze. And then I'm like, this mug has too much sheen, so let me change the overcoat of it from a glossy glaze to more of a matte finish glaze. So it's after you get your first really promising artist proof, you have to take a look at it again and be like, okay, what do I want to hone in and make better in my second firing?
For this glaze, is this all done in one firing, or is this multiple firings for the glaze?
This one is I would say the shadows is one firing paired with the bisque firing, but wait, hold on. No. Sorry. It's one firing. This one's one firing.
Because you can see some of the like you can almost see the coloring underneath. It's really noticeable over here underneath the red, which is a really cool effect.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love those mugs. Thank you, by the way, for making mugs for one of my other side projects, the New England Tiki Society. People went nuts for those severed wolf head mugs. For the people that don't know, you had carved like a whole bunch. I don't know if I have a picture of it necessarily. I do have this one here that I can show. So this is one of the black ones with the lava, but you had carved like different patterns into each mug. And I believe it was the state of Massachusetts that you had kind of carved into the top of our New England Tiki Society mug, which was awesome.
Yes, it was like a hidden Easter egg. Like I love hidden Mickeys when I go to Disneyland.
Yeah.
So just a way for me to put in like a hidden Easter egg. I guess I can say this now. I'm surprised nobody has like posted about it, but I did carve other states, like Massachusetts.
Oh, really?
Yeah. In when I sold it at Tiki Oasis, there was a couple of wolf heads that had different states in it.
So everybody watching, look at your severed wolf head because there's probably like Idaho on it, and you're from Florida.
Kansas is like just like a square box.
Just the most absolute weirdest things that you can carve into it.
Yeah, there's I would say there's a Washington state, there's a Florida, there's a California state too. So, the California one also has a California bear on it. So yeah, I
feel like people would notice a bear. So we pull up this again. So when you made this mug, all the carved areas, was this just the wolf head was smooth, and then you could go in and carve all that stuff out?
Yeah. It was something that I was kind of inspired by both Tiki Rob and Tiki Pop. Like those guys, they put a lot of like unique carvings into their mugs, and I just love that idea of like making each mug unique, and it makes it fun for the artist to kind of like put their own like pizzazz in each mug. That made the lava wolf heads really fun to make. Like I would look at it and I was like, oh, what am I going to carve now? And then I had a lot of fun with that.
I love seeing all the different variations.
Thanks.
That was so great. With that said, we do have, you mentioned Tiki Rob. He's doing a mug sale tonight at 7 o'clock Pacific, 10 o'clock Eastern. So we do kind of have to wrap things up because, believe it or not, we're both mug nerds too. And, we want a chance of getting mugs. So let's do one more giveaway. We got a Kim Bang swizzle stick, which is a moon with a bat. And we got some cocktail umbrellas. We just talked about Tiki Rob. So the question is going to be... Tiki Rob makes mugs in Hawaii. What island is Tiki Rob specifically based on? First person to get the answer correct in the comments will get to take home some cocktail umbrellas from the Tiny Umbrella and also a swizzle stick from Kim Bang. And then I got this picture, which is awesome, of you guys vending. This was your first time vending at Tiki Oasis?
Yes, first time vending, and it's honestly like a partnered attempt at it. Like the shelves that you see, Val on the right, she made those shelves. Like she cut all the wood, she varnished it, and it's just like, oh, this is amazing.
It looks so good.
Yeah, right? Like it looks so professional. And then I did all the graphic arts. Like I found like a place that can print banners behind us, and I print all the art cards, and it was just like a great time to vend. Tony, who does a lot of art for Tiki Tatsuya and Hidden Harbor, like he's a great friend of mine, and he provided me great tips on like how to set up your vending booth, because vending is also another art form. Like there's little things that you can do to make the vending experience for the customers better, and I owe a lot to him and also Odd Rodney too, like they both gave me amazing tips as a first time vendor. And I was to say, like, if it wasn't for them, like my vending experience would be so stressful.
Yeah, those are all great artists, guys. Give all these people that we're shouting out follows on Instagram. Usually their Instagram name is also their artist name. So it's probably at Odd Rodney. But check them out for sure. We did get the correct answer. A lot of people guessed. The first person to come through on my end was this person. The correct answer, Tiki Rob does make mugs in Hawaii, specifically the island of Maui. So congratulations, Donna Krabuk. You get some tiny cocktail umbrellas, and a swizzle stick from Kim Bang.
That's a super cool swizzle stick.
Kim Bang makes the best swizzle sticks. I don't know if I can get it to focus in here.
Oh, is there a bat on it? Oh my god.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
It's a little hard to see because it's black on black, but yeah, there's a little hanging bat.
Yeah.
Follow Kim Bang on Instagram. And with that said, okay, so second to last question, vending in person, selling mugs online. It's easy now as a mug artist to put mugs online, and oftentimes they'll sell out, assuming you're not making 10,000 of them and it's a cool design. But events, what are the pros and cons of vending at an event?
Ooh, let's start with cons first. Cons, you have to put a lot of upfront effort to set up your vending booth successfully for a convention. Like banners, I had a horizontal banner and a vertical banner, and those weren't cheap to print. They actually cost a lot of money, and you have to worry about transporting them, setting them up, tearing them down. It's a lot of work, and vending takes long hours. I think Tiki Oasis is 3 days, and I think they're 5-6 hours long each day. So it's that length of time that you have to be at your booth and kind of vend and talk with your customers. But then talking with your customers, talking with your fans, and that is a segue into the pros. I had so much fun just meeting everybody at Tiki Oasis that have been following me and been seeing my journey of getting into mug making and collecting tiki mugs. And honestly, it's all worth it. It's all worth it when I can talk to people that kind of get inspired by the artwork that I make. And also, I really appreciate when other vendors stop by my booth and introduce themselves to me. And I was like, oh, sweet, this is my time to actually go and meet these people in person, or catch up with them again since the last time I met them. So that I would say is, I think, the best pro of vending in person.
I think that's definitely not just vending, but Tiki in general. My favorite part of Tiki has been meeting all the different people and making lifelong friends. And it's kind of weird how just by having one common interest, you go to an event like Tiki Oasis and everybody's your best friend. Because you all love Tiki, you all love immersion, you all love cocktails. And so it's great. But yeah, it's got to be surreal seeing people actually handle your mugs too. Being ooh.
Yeah.
And with that said, we got to give a mug away.
Hey.
But before I give this beautiful masterpiece away from Riki Tat Tiki, which, by the way, follow Riki Tat Tiki on Instagram. Final question, Christine. What is next for Riki Tat Tiki?
Yeah, so right now I'm kind of trying to settle down in San Diego. So I'm at a pause at mug making right now, but I am still sculpting on my iPad. I have a 3D sculpt that I've been working on that I'm really excited about. Yeah, I definitely have the 2 wolf heads. This is one of them. I released around 25 of each. I'm going to finish out the run at 75 of each. So I'm going to continue to release these, both the white version and the lava black version. So look out for that. And I know a lot of people have asked for this, and I'm so sorry that it's taking so long to get this started. But I will be making more of my Saturn mugs. This one I have so much fun trying out new glazes on. So this is the one glaze that I really like. It has the galaxy rings, and it looks like the actual gaseous surface of Saturn. But then I also have another metallic one that's just, I don't know, like really sci-fi-esque looking that I want to release. So
I like the ones that you showed at Mothership, where it's like, are you like chipping out, like hand carving all the little chips and stuff?
Yep. All those chips are hand carved, and the glaze that I chose was very reflective, so it kind of like highlights all that like different reflective surfaces from hand chipping the mugs. So yeah, that one I was really excited with too. So those two, just keep an eye on that. I'm gonna try to settle down for the next month or two, but I would say 2023 I'll start mug making really soon.
We love it. That's what we like to hear. Huge fan, Riki Tat Tiki. You're killing it. You may be a new mug maker, but you can't tell that looking at these gorgeous mugs. And with that said, our daily mug giveaways from 13 Nights of Tiki Frights are sponsored by Plantation Rum, our rum of choice for all our cocktails at 13nightsoftikifrights.com, and the world's largest manufacturer of tiki mugs. That is Tiki Farm, Holden, and our friends at Tiki Farm make incredible mugs. Please go support them. And with that said, we do have the winner picked out. And the winner of... Oh, yeah, we got to do one of those. The winner of Till Death Don't Us Part is... This one was picked from Instagram. It's at @runplanch_man. So
no way, Run.
Congratulations.
Congrats, man.
And with that said, I got to go buy some Tiki Rob mugs.
Yeah.
I don't know about you.
Yeah.
But everybody, in just about 17 minutes, Tiki Rob has a sale. TikiRob.com, I assume is what it is. But he's selling a whole bunch of mugs for Halloween. Please go support Tiki Rob, and please support Riki Tat Tiki when those severed wolf head mugs and the Saturn comes to life.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for hosting this. Like, I tuned in last year and it was amazing, and I cannot believe you just like upped the ante for this year.
Oh, thank you.
This even better, and it's amazing to always tune in and get to learn like about new artists and what's happening in the industry.
Thank you so much. And now you're one of them.
Woo!
You get to continue the chain of inspiration.
Yeah, and thanks everybody for tuning in and listening to us on the Sunday night.
And happy Halloween tomorrow.
Yeah, Halloween Eve.
Halloween Eve. All right, guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow night.
All right. Bye.